My 38th birthday started like any other Tuesday in suburban Houston, with my wife Dana nowhere to be found and a broken drone scattered across my garage workbench like mechanical confetti. "Happy birthday to me," I muttered, adjusting the LED work light over the tiny circuit board. The garage smelled like motor oil and disappointment, a combination I'd grown disturbingly comfortable with over the past 6 months. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. Dana had left that morning without so much as a "see you later," let alone acknowledging what day it was. Her coffee mug sat abandoned on the kitchen counter, lipstick stain on the rim like a goodbye kiss she'd forgotten to give me. The smart home system cheerfully announced it was 9:47 p.m. when I finally looked up from my repairs, realizing I'd spent my entire birthday alone with a pile of broken electronics. I pulled out my phone, scrolling through the day's messages. Nothing from Dana. My sister had texted from Denver. My old college roommate posted a generic Facebook message. But from my wife of 12 years? Radio silence. The house felt different lately. Too quiet when she was home, too empty when she wasn't. Dana owned a florist shop downtown called Petals and Promises, and her hours had become increasingly unpredictable. Late nights, weekend emergencies, mysterious phone calls that ended abruptly when I walked into the room. "Working with Alyssa on inventory," she'd say, referring to her best friend and business partner. "You wouldn't understand the flower business, Miles." She wasn't wrong. I was a structural engineer who spent my days calculating load-bearing capacities and stress fractures. Flowers were beautiful, but they faded. I preferred things that lasted. I opened our home security app, a habit I'd developed recently. The system tracked our phones' locations, a feature Dana had insisted on after a break-in scare in our neighborhood last year. According to the GPS, she was at Vesper Grand Hotel downtown. That was odd. She'd said she was having dinner with her sister Rebecca. My thumb hovered over her contact. Call her? Demand an explanation? Instead, I did what any suspicious husband with engineering skills would do. I dug deeper. The smart home system logged everything: door codes, entry times, security camera footage. I pulled up today's timeline. Dana had left at 6:15 p.m., dressed in the black cocktail dress she'd worn to our anniversary dinner 2 years ago. The same dress that now hung unworn in our closet because we'd stopped celebrating anniversaries. I hacked into the hotel's guest registry, a skill I'd picked up during a cybersecurity consulting job last year. There it was. Shawn Laird, party of 2, penthouse suite. Shawn Laird, I knew that name. He was the guy who'd been helping Dana with business expansion for the past 3 months. The one with the silver BMW who'd been parked in our driveway twice last week while I was at work. The one Dana described as just a consultant, with the kind of smile that suggested she was consulting him on more than flower arrangements. My phone buzzed. A text from Dana. "Working late. Don't wait up." I stared at the message, then at the hotel location on my screen. Something cold and methodical clicked into place in my brain. The same analytical mindset I used to identify structural weaknesses in buildings. Except now, I was examining the fractures in my marriage. I grabbed my laptop and started typing. If Dana wanted to play games, I'd show her what happened when you tried to fool an engineer. First, I called the Vesper Grand Hotel. "Good evening. I'd like to send a bottle of champagne to the penthouse suite registered under Shawn Laird," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Certainly, sir. Any message for the card?" "Yes. Happy birthday to me. Enjoy your final night married. Love, Miles." There was a pause. "I'll make sure they receive that, sir." I hung up and opened our joint banking app. With a few clicks, I froze Dana's access to our savings account and changed the security codes on our house. If she wanted to sneak around, she could figure out where to sleep tonight. My phone exploded with notifications 20 minutes later. Missed calls, frantic texts, voicemails that started apologetic and quickly turned angry. Miles, what the hell is wrong with you? This is insane. Let me explain. Open the damn door. I watched through the security camera as Dana stood on our front porch in her cocktail dress and heels, jabbing at the keypad that no longer recognized her code. Shawn's BMW idled in our driveway, him nervously checking his phone from the driver's seat. I poured myself a beer and settled into my recliner, phone in hand. For the first time in months, I was exactly where I wanted to be, in control. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls and a text thread that read like a psychological thriller. Dana had spent the night at her sister's place, and based on her messages, she was oscillating between panic and rage. We need to talk. This is all a misunderstanding. You're being childish and paranoid. I'm coming over at lunch. We're settling this like adults. I deleted the messages without responding and drove to Murphy's boxing gym, a strip mall establishment that smelled like sweat and bad decisions. The owner, Tommy Murphy, was a retired Marine who'd seen enough domestic drama to stock a soap opera. Trouble at home? He asked, watching me pummel the heavy bag with more enthusiasm than technique. Wife's cheating, I said between punches. Caught her at a hotel with some pretty boy consultant. Tommy nodded sagely. What you gonna do about it? Destroy her life systematically and methodically. Attaboy. Just don't do anything that'll land you in county lockup. Revenge is a dish best served legal. I spent an hour working out my frustrations, then drove to Dana's flower shop. Petals and Promises occupied a trendy corner space in downtown Houston, all exposed brick and Instagram-worthy arrangements. Through the window, I could see Alyssa March behind the counter, her bleached blonde hair perfectly styled despite the early hour. Alyssa had been Dana's best friend since college, a relationship that had always puzzled me. Where Dana was elegant and reserved, Alyssa was loud and gossipy, the kind of woman who treated other people's secrets like currency. She'd been encouraging Dana's independence lately, always suggesting girls' nights and weekend trips that somehow never included photos or details. I parked across the street and activated the drone I'd repaired last night. The little aircraft was nearly silent, equipped with a high-definition camera I'd originally bought for surveying construction sites. Now it had a different purpose. Through the camera feed, I watched Alyssa answer her phone. Her expression shifted from casual to concerned to something that looked like panic. She was talking to Dana, probably getting an update on last night's disaster. My phone rang. Rebecca, Dana's sister. Miles, what the hell is going on? Dana showed up at my house crying at midnight, saying you locked her out. Rebecca had always been the reasonable one in Dana's family, a successful real estate agent who'd built her career on reading people accurately. If anyone would see through Dana's victim routine, it would be her. Did she mention where she was before she came to your house? I asked. Silence. Then, she said she was working late. Check your Instagram, Rebecca. Search for the Vesper Grand Hotel's tagged posts from last night. I'd spent the morning creating anonymous social media accounts, uploading the drone footage I'd captured of Dana and Shawn kissing in the hotel lobby. The video was grainy, but unmistakable. Dana's distinctive red hair, Shawn's expensive suit, their body language screaming intimacy. Oh my God, Rebecca whispered. Miles, I'm so sorry, I had no idea. Neither did I until yesterday, but I'm handling it. What are you going to do? Whatever it takes. I hung up and drove to Shawn's office building, a gleaming tower downtown where he worked as a marketing director for some tech startup. His BMW was parked in the executive section, pristine silver paint reflecting the Texas sun. I'd come prepared. The expanding foam I'd brought was industrial grade, the kind we use to seal gaps in building foundations. I inserted the applicator tube into his tailpipe and emptied the entire canister. Within minutes, the foam would harden into an impenetrable plug that would require professional removal. But I wasn't finished. I opened his unlocked car, people in Houston were trusting that way, and scattered the contents of a bag I'd borrowed from Dana's shop across his leather interior. Rotting flower petals, thorny stems, and a generous helping of fertilizer that would smell like a sewage plant in the afternoon heat. On his windshield, I left a note. This is just the beginning. A concerned husband. My phone buzzed with another text from Dana. I'm coming home at 2 p.m., be there. I checked my watch. 1:30 p.m., perfect timing. I positioned myself in the living room with a clear view of the front door security camera feed. At exactly 2:07 p.m., Dana's Lexus pulled into the driveway. She sat in the car for a full minute, probably gathering courage before walking to the door. She looked terrible. Her hair was disheveled, her makeup smudged, her clothes wrinkled from sleeping in them. Good. She pressed the doorbell, then tried her key. When that didn't work, she started knocking. Miles, open the door. We need to talk. I activated the intercom system. Talk about what, Dana? Your business consultation in the penthouse suite? Her face crumpled on the security camera. It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Let me in, and I'll explain everything. No. Miles, please. I made a mistake, but we can work through this. The only mistake was me trusting you. Go back to your boyfriend's place. Oh, wait. I heard his car's having some mechanical problems. I could see her confusion through the camera. She hadn't heard from Shawn since this morning. Probably didn't know about his foam-filled tailpipe or fertilizer-scented interior. I'm not leaving until we settle this, she said, sitting down on the porch steps. Then you're going to be there a while. I opened my laptop and began uploading the hotel footage to Dana's business social media accounts. Within an hour, Petals and Promises would have some very interesting content for their followers to discover. My phone rang. Alyssa. Miles, you need to stop this right now. Dana made a mistake, but destroying her business isn't going to fix your marriage. Who said I wanted to fix it? You're being vindictive and cruel. I'm being thorough. There's a difference. What do you want? Money? An apology? What will it take to end this? Interesting question. What did I want? I wanted Dana to feel the same humiliation I'd felt sitting alone on my birthday while she was with another man. I wanted Shawn to understand that actions have consequences, and I wanted everyone who'd watched my marriage crumble from the sidelines to know exactly who was responsible. I want the truth, I said. All of it. What truth? How long has this been going on? Who else knew? And what's your role in all of this, Alyssa? The line went quiet. Too quiet. I don't know what you mean. Sure you don't. I hung up and checked the social media posts. The video had been viewed 847 times in the past hour, with comments ranging from shocked to supportive to downright vicious. Dana's business phone was probably ringing off the hook. Through the security camera, I watched her finally give up and walk back to her car. She sat in the driver's seat for 10 minutes, crying and making phone calls. This was just the beginning. By Thursday morning, Dana's world was unraveling faster than a cheap sweater. The social media video had gone viral in our suburban community, shared and reshared until half of Houston had seen my wife kissing another man in a hotel lobby. Petals and Promises was hemorrhaging customers. I'd driven by twice yesterday, watching through the windows as Alyssa fielded angry phone calls and canceled orders. Wedding bookings were being pulled, corporate accounts suspended, and the local news had picked up the story as a cautionary tale about social media and infidelity. I was sitting in my lawyer's office, signing divorce papers with the satisfaction of a man who'd done his homework. You've got everything documented, Jennifer Walsh said, reviewing the evidence folder I'd compiled. Hotel receipts, video footage, bank records showing unusual spending patterns. She's not going to have much leverage in court. Jennifer was a shark in a business suit, recommended by a colleague who'd gone through his own messy divorce. She specialized in cases where one spouse had been particularly creative with their betrayal. What about the joint assets? I asked. With this evidence of adultery, You'll likely keep the house and most of the savings. Her business is another matter. Technically, it's marital property, but given its current situation, she might be willing to sign it over just to make this go away quietly. I'd frozen Dana's access to our joint accounts, leaving her with whatever cash she had on hand and the rapidly declining value of her flower shop. It was brutal, but legal, exactly the kind of systematic destruction I'd planned. My phone buzzed. Rebecca again. Miles, Dana's staying with me, but she's falling apart. She hasn't eaten in 2 days, and she's talking about leaving town. Good. She should have thought about consequences before she decided to cheat. Look, I'm not defending what she did, but this public humiliation is destroying her. Can't you two work this out privately? She made it public when she decided to conduct her affair in hotel lobbies and lie to everyone about it. What about forgiveness? What about your marriage vows? What about them? She broke them first. I hung up and drove to Shawn's office building. His BMW was still in the parking lot, but now it was surrounded by a tow truck and 2 very frustrated-looking mechanics. The expanding foam had done its job. His exhaust system was completely blocked, and the interior would need professional cleaning to remove the smell of rotting flowers and fertilizer. Shawn himself was standing nearby, talking animatedly on his phone while gesturing at his ruined car. He was younger than me, maybe 35, with the kind of artificially perfect appearance that screamed, trust fund baby. Expensive suit, perfect hair. Watch that cost more than most people's monthly rent. I parked across the street and rolled down my window. Having car trouble? I called out. He looked up, confused, then recognized me from the wedding photos Dana kept on her desk. His face went pale. You, he said, walking over. You're the psychopath who's been harassing us. Harassing? I prefer providing educational experiences about cause and effect. This is vandalism. I'm calling the police. Go ahead. Make sure you mention why you think I might be upset with you. I'm sure they'll be very sympathetic. Shawn's jaw tightened. He was probably used to intimidating people with his money and connections, but I had something more powerful, the moral high ground, and absolutely nothing left to lose. Dana made her choice, he said. Maybe if you'd been a better husband, she wouldn't have needed someone else. That was the wrong thing to say. I got out of my car, all 6 feet and 200 pounds of me. I'd been hitting the gym hard since Monday, and my shoulders felt broader, my presence more imposing. You want to talk about choices? I said, stepping closer. Let's talk about your choice to sleep with a married woman, your choice to sneak around like a coward, your choice to destroy a 12-year marriage for a few nights in a hotel room. Stay back, Shawn said, but his voice cracked. Or what? You'll call your lawyer? Sue me? With what evidence? I haven't touched you. I was close enough now to smell his expensive cologne, to see the sweat beading on his forehead despite the cool morning air. Here's what's going to happen, I said quietly. You're going to stay away from my wife. You're going to find a new job, preferably in another city. And if I see you anywhere near Dana or our neighborhood again, I'll make your car problems look like a minor inconvenience. You can't threaten me. I'm not threatening you. I'm educating you about natural consequences. Actions create reactions. Choices create results. You chose to insert yourself into my marriage, so now you get to experience the results of that choice. I stepped back, giving him space to breathe. Enjoy your day, Shawn. Try not to make any more poor decisions. I drove away, leaving him standing next to his ruined BMW with his phone in his hand and terror in his eyes. That afternoon, I received a call from Dana's lawyer, some downtown hotshot who specialized in high-profile divorces. Mr. Carver, my client would like to discuss a settlement. I'm listening. She's prepared to accept responsibility for the breakdown of the marriage and negotiate a fair division of assets. Define fair. She keeps the business, you keep the house. Split the savings accounts 50-50. I laughed. Actually laughed. Counteroffer, I keep the house, the savings, and my retirement accounts. She keeps whatever's left of her business and the debt that goes with it. That's hardly equitable. Neither was adultery, but she managed that just fine. My client is prepared to fight this in court. With what? Video evidence of her infidelity, bank records showing she used our joint account to pay for hotel rooms with her boyfriend? Character witnesses who saw her lying to family and friends for months? Silence. Tell your client she has until Friday to accept my terms. After that, I start getting creative with my evidence presentation. I hung up and drove to Dana's flower shop. It was 4 p.m. on a Thursday, normally one of their busiest times. Instead, the parking lot was empty except for Alyssa's car. Through the window, I could see the two of them sitting at the counter, surrounded by wilted flowers and unpaid bills. Dana looked like she'd aged 5 years in 4 days. Her red hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, her face was pale and drawn, and her hands shook as she held her coffee cup. Alyssa was talking animatedly, gesturing with her hands, probably trying to convince Dana to fight back somehow. But Dana just stared at the counter, defeated. I felt a moment of something that might have been pity. Then I remembered the hotel video, the lies, the birthday she'd forgotten while she was with another man. The pity evaporated. I pulled out my phone and made one more call. Channel 7 News? I have a follow-up story about the viral cheating video from earlier this week. Friday morning brought unexpected revelations and the kind of plot twist that would make a soap opera writer jealous. I was reviewing security footage from the past week, looking for more evidence to use in divorce proceedings, when I noticed something odd. The timestamp showed Wednesday at 11:47 p.m., 2 hours after Dana had supposedly gone to bed at Rebecca's house. But there was Alyssa's silver Honda pulling into Shawn's condo complex. I enhanced the image, zoomed in on the license plate. Definitely Alyssa's car. She stayed for 3 hours, leaving at 2:33 a.m. Interesting. I called a private investigator I'd worked with on insurance fraud cases, a former cop named Rick Santos, who specialized in surveillance and background checks. Rick, I need you to dig into someone's history. Alyssa March, age 36, owns half of Petals and Promises flower shop. What am I looking for? Connections to my wife's affair, timeline inconsistencies, anything that doesn't add up. Give me 24 hours. While Rick worked his magic, I decided to do some investigating of my own. I drove to the coffee shop where Alyssa spent her mornings, a trendy place called Grind Coffee that served $20 lattes to people who thought caffeine was a personality trait. She was there, as expected, laptop open, phone pressed to her ear. I ordered a coffee and sat 2 tables away, close enough to eavesdrop. Told you this would happen, she was saying. Dana's too naive to handle something this complicated. Pause. No, she doesn't suspect anything. She thinks you actually cared about her. Another pause, longer this time. The plan was perfect until her husband turned out to be smarter than we expected. Plan? What plan? I activated the voice recording app on my phone and moved closer, pretending to read emails. Listen, Shawn, we can still salvage this. Dana takes the fall for the affair, her business collapses, and she'll be desperate enough to sell her half of the shop for pennies. I get full ownership. You get your revenge on Miles for that humiliation 3 years ago, and everyone wins. Revenge on me? 3 years ago? Then it hit me like a freight train carrying a load of betrayal. 3 years ago, Alyssa had made a pass at me at Dana's birthday party. She'd been drunk, aggressive, and completely inappropriate, cornering me in the kitchen and trying to kiss me while my wife was in the next room. I'd rejected her firmly and publicly, embarrassing her in front of the other guests. She'd been planning this for 3 years. Dana was just the weapon, Alyssa continued into her phone. A way to destroy Miles's marriage and get control of the business at the same time. 2 birds, 1 stone. I sat there, coffee growing cold in my hands, as the full scope of the manipulation became clear. Alyssa had orchestrated the entire affair, probably introducing Dana to Shawn, encouraging the relationship, providing alibis for their meetings. She'd played puppet master while Dana danced on the strings, too trusting to realize she was being used. My phone buzzed. Rick Santos. Miles, you need to hear this. Alyssa March has been in debt up to her eyeballs for the past 2 years. Gambling problem based on the credit card records I could access. She owes money to some very unfriendly people. How much money? $250,000, give or take. The flower shop is probably the only asset she has that's worth anything, but she only owns half. What about Shawn Laird? That's where it gets interesting. He filed a harassment complaint against you 3 years ago with his previous employer, claimed you made inappropriate advances at a company party. I remembered now. Shawn had been working for one of our subcontractors, and he'd been the one who'd witnessed my rejection of Alyssa. He'd tried to spin it as me harassing her, but security cameras had told the real story. He'd been fired for filing a false report. So this whole thing was revenge, I said. Looks that way. Alyssa needed money and control of the business. Shawn wanted to hurt you personally. Your wife was just the convenient tool they used to accomplish both goals. I thanked Rick and hung up, staring at Alyssa across the coffee shop. She was still on her phone, still orchestrating, still pulling strings. Not anymore. I walked over to her table and sat down uninvited. Hello, Alyssa. Interesting conversation you're having. Her face went white. Miles, what are you doing here? Learning the truth. Finally. I placed my phone on the table between us, the voice recording app still running. Tell me about the plan, I said. The one where you manipulate my wife into having an affair so you can destroy my marriage and steal her business. I don't know what you're talking about. Sure you don't. Just like you don't know about your gambling debts or Shawn's grudge against me or the fact that you've been playing puppet master for the past 6 months. Alyssa's hands were shaking now. You can't prove anything. I can prove you were at Shawn's condo Wednesday night. I can prove you've been lying to Dana about your financial situation. And I can prove you've been manipulating her emotions to serve your own agenda. Dana made her own choices. Dana trusted her best friend and got betrayed. There's a difference. I leaned forward, lowering my voice. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to confess everything to Dana. You're going to sign over your half of the business to her for free. And you're going to disappear from our lives permanently. Or what? Or I expose everything. Your debts, your manipulation, your 3-year revenge plot. I'll make sure everyone knows that Dana was just as much a victim as I was. Alyssa stared at me for a long moment, calculating odds and options. You really think Dana will forgive you if she knows the truth? She asked. You've destroyed her reputation, her business, her entire life. Even if she was manipulated, she still chose to cheat. Maybe, maybe not. But at least she'll know who her real enemies are. I stood up, pocketing my phone. You have until tonight to make your confession. After that, I start making phone calls to very interested parties. I walked away, leaving Alyssa sitting alone with her expensive coffee and her crumbling schemes. It was time to have a conversation with my wife. Saturday evening, I arranged to meet Dana at the one place that had started this whole mess, the Vesper Grand Hotel, specifically their rooftop bar, with its panoramic view of Houston's skyline and its reputation as a place where secrets came to light. She arrived at 7 p.m. sharp, looking better than she had in days, but still carrying the weight of public humiliation on her shoulders. She dressed carefully, conservative blouse, minimal makeup, the kind of outfit that said, "Please don't hate me." "Thank you for agreeing to meet," she said, sitting across from me at a corner table. "We need to talk. About everything." "Miles, I know I hurt you. I know I made terrible choices, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." She looked genuinely remorseful, which made what I had to tell her even more complicated. "Dana, before you say anything else, you need to know something about Alyssa, about how this whole thing started. I told her everything: the recording from the coffee shop, Rick's investigation, the 3-year revenge plot, Alyssa's gambling debts, Shawn's grudge against me. I watched her face change from confusion to disbelief to horror as the full scope of the manipulation became clear. "No," she whispered. "Alyssa wouldn't. She's my best friend. She's been using you, Dana. You were just a weapon in someone else's war." Dana's hands were shaking as she reached for her wine glass. "But I still chose to cheat. I still lied to you. I still destroyed our marriage." "Yes, you did. But you did it because someone you trusted was pulling your strings, making you doubt our relationship, pushing you toward Shawn, providing opportunities and alibis. You're not innocent, but you're not the only guilty party either." We sat in silence for several minutes, watching the sun set over Houston's sprawling metropolis. "What happens now?" Dana asked finally. "I don't know. The divorce papers are filed. Your business is destroyed. Half the city thinks you're a cheating wife, and the other half will think you're a naive victim when the truth comes out." "And Alyssa?" "She confessed everything this afternoon, signed over her half of the business to you, agreed to pay back the money she'd been skimming from your accounts, and promised to leave town permanently." Dana looked up, surprised. "She confessed? I can be very persuasive when I want to be." "What about Shawn?" "His company fired him yesterday when they found out about the harassment complaint he filed against me 3 years ago. Turns out they don't like employees who lie on their background checks. He's also facing a civil lawsuit from his wife for adultery. Last I heard, he was moving back to his parents' house in Oklahoma." Dana nodded slowly, processing the information. "So everyone gets punished except you," she said. "I got punished plenty. I lost my wife, my marriage, and my trust in people I cared about. The difference is, I chose to fight back instead of just accepting it. By destroying my life. By exposing the truth. There's a difference." Dana finished her wine and stared out at the city lights. "I keep thinking about that night," she said, "when you sent the champagne bottle with that message. 'Happy birthday to me. Enjoy your final night married.' How did you know it would be the final night?" "Because I know you, Dana. I knew that once the truth came out, once everyone saw what had been happening, there would be no going back. Not for us." "Do you hate me?" I considered the question seriously. Did I hate her? Or did I just hate what she'd done, what we'd become, what we'd lost? "I hate that you didn't trust our marriage enough to resist manipulation. I hate that you chose to lie instead of talking to me about whatever problems we were having. I hate that you forgot my birthday while you were with another man." "But do you hate me?" "No, I don't hate you. But I don't love you anymore either. Love requires trust, and trust requires honesty. We don't have either of those things left." Dana nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I'm going to rebuild," she said. "The business, my reputation, my life, it'll take time, but I'm going to do it." "Good. You should." "Will you ever forgive me?" "I already have. Forgiveness isn't about forgetting what happened or pretending it didn't hurt. It's about choosing not to let someone else's actions control your future." "I forgive you, Dana, but I'm not going back." We sat there for another hour, talking about practical things: divorce proceedings, asset division, who would keep the house. It was civil, almost friendly, like two business partners dissolving a company that had simply run its course. As we prepared to leave, Dana reached across the table and touched my hand. "For what it's worth, Miles, you were a good husband. Better than I deserved. You deserved honesty from your best friend. You deserved a marriage without manipulation and lies. You deserved better than what happened to you." "So did you." "Yes, I did." We walked to the elevator together, rode down to the parking garage in comfortable silence. At our cars, we hugged briefly. Not romantic, not passionate, just the embrace of two people who had shared 12 years of life together and were now going their separate ways. Take care of yourself, Dana. You too, Miles. I watched her drive away, tail lights disappearing into Houston traffic. Then I got in my own car and drove home to the house that would soon be mine alone, to the life I would rebuild from the ashes of betrayal and revenge. 3 months later, I received a wedding invitation in the mail. Rebecca was getting remarried to a man she'd met during her real estate career. The invitation was addressed to Miles Carver, not Mr. and Mrs. Carver, not Miles and Dana, just me. I RSVP'd yes and bought a nice gift from their registry. At the wedding, I sat in the back row, watching Rebecca exchange vows with her new husband. The ceremony was beautiful, full of hope and promise, and the kind of love that survives challenges instead of crumbling at the first sign of difficulty. During the reception, Rebecca found me at the bar. "I'm glad you came," she said. "Wouldn't miss it. You look happy." "I am. What about you? Are you happy?" I considered the question. Was I happy? I was single, living alone in a house that felt too big, working long hours to avoid thinking about the past. But I was also free from lies and manipulation, free from wondering if my wife was telling the truth, free from the constant anxiety that had defined the last months of my marriage. "I'm content," I said. "That's enough for now." Dana's doing well, by the way. She reopened the flower shop under a new name, moved to a smaller location. She's getting therapy, trying to figure out how she got so lost. Good for her. She asks about you sometimes. What do you tell her? That you're doing fine, that you don't hate her, that maybe someday when enough time has passed you might even be friends again. Maybe, I said. Someday. But as I drove home that night, past the hotel where it all began, past the flower shop that had been rebuilt from the ashes of betrayal, past the coffee shop where I'd learned the truth about manipulation and revenge, I realized something important. I didn't need Dana's friendship to be complete. I didn't need Alyssa's punishment to feel satisfied. I didn't need Shawn's downfall to feel vindicated. I had something better than revenge. I had the truth and the strength that comes from surviving betrayal without becoming bitter. I had learned the difference between justice and vengeance, between protecting yourself and destroying others. Most importantly, I had learned that sometimes the best revenge is simply living well, moving forward, and refusing to let other people's choices define your future. The birthday candles had been blown out, the stems had been cut, the thorns had been revealed. But I was still standing, still breathing, still capable of building something new from the ruins of what had been lost. And that, I realized, was enough.